Mansfield, Texas, waiting for you to talk to her, ask any questions you might have, and connect with another terrific artist here in the creative space. I am, as usual, your slightly late imperfect host, Catherine Shapiro. My day starts out quite early in the morning, but sometimes doesn't get moving until a little later than that. So I am I am so glad to be here and happy that you are joining us today in the creative space. We love to give terrific advice, great tips, and wonderful artists like Janette, who I believe is on the phone right now. Is that you, young lady?
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Miss Janette. How are you today?
I am blessed. How are you? I woke up. That's a blessing.
I am feeling the same, especially today. So,
hmm
last week, as I remember, we were talking about the battlefield of the mind, and you said
Right.
you had some more to give in regards to wisdom from that book.
Yes. hmm And I did. And I woke up and the Lord took me to chapter 17 of the book.
There you go.
So, and he said, I want you to share this because we go through it all the time. And I wanted to go ahead and share what the title is. In as being creative people and business owners of the creative mind, we tend to think like this: someone do it for me. I don't want to take the responsibility,
I hear you.
and that hits home because they're going off of Genesis 11:31, and she said responsibility is often defined as our response to God's ability. To be responsible is to respond to the opportunity that God has placed in front of us. God gave Abram's father a responsibility, a chance to respond to his ability. He placed before him the opportunity to go to Canaan, but instead of going all the way with the Lord, he chose to stop and settle in Haran. It
Mm-hmm.
is fairly easy, right, to be excited when God first speaks to us and gives us an opportunity to do something. But like Tara, many times we never finish what we start because we get into it and realize that this is more involved than goosebumps and excitement.
And cold feet kind of set in a little bit, which is normal.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Most new ventures are exciting simply because they're new. Excitement will carry a person along for a while, but it will not take them across the finish line. In other words, the devil starts playing with our minds saying, you can't do this. And that's where the stinking thinking comes in. You can't do this. You can't do this alone. You're not, no, that's not a good idea.
Well,
No,
we're
that's not
not
this because
alone, and that is the
that's
important thing
right.
to remember.
Exactly. Many believers do what the Bible says, and Tara did. They start out for one place and settle somewhere else along the way. They get tired and weary. They would like to finish their course, but they realize they don't want all the responsibility that goes with it.
Mm-hmm.
If someone else would do it for them, they would love to reap the glory, but they just don't want to do the work. And I have met plenty of people that way. Where they want to go on someone else's tail line and reap their rewards, but they don't want to do the work.
Well,
And we
I
have to
am
be
glad you are here
careful.
to do the work with us. I can tell you that.
Yes, I am blessed to be here as well. And one of the things that I do know is that we're not alone. And God always sends people to us that will help us along the way. So
Absolutely.
anybody out there with the business that they have even an idea, an inkling of an idea, there's nothing wrong by just going for it
And
because
sometimes
see,
you have to start because if you never start, you're never going to finish. And the answer is always
oh,
going to be no.
isn't that the truth?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that the truth? If we never start, we never see the opportunities that God has in front of us.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to bring us as an example. Okay, you and I would have never met you if I wouldn't have been in the business that I am in, where we met on the platform. It was amazing. God put us together for a reason. And
Absolutely.
who knows how many people out there, need our guidance to just give him that little push to say, hey, go for it. You got that little still voice. That's how you know when it's God, because he gives you a little still voice that tells you, hey,
And
do
it's
it.
not
It's
always
okay.
loud, but it's
And
there
it's not
if you
always
want to
loud, and it's
listen to it.
there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that is just amazing. So we have something for our listeners, don't we?
Well, yes, we do. It's still on the way. My understanding
Mhm.
is it got a little delayed at the post office, but we
Mhm.
are going to kick off a little um, question and answer session on our station here. What we have
Mhm.
decided to do is if you are listening to our program and you answer a question about the program that we pose to you, you will receive a wonderful gift from our good friend on the other end of this line, Janette Jordan. She is
Mhm.
a jewelry maker extraordinaire, and she has made a lot of terrific pieces for me personally. And she has made some wonderful crosses for Omega Radio. And we will be
Mhm.
able to offer you those in a few days as soon as we get them in the post office. Snail
Yeah,
mail
snail
is a
mail.
little
What can I
crazy
say?
these days.
Yeah.
But
And
let's ask a question.
okay.
Who was the person who wrote the book that we are discussing? If you can
Oh.
remember that, because it's actually in all of the discussion we've had over the last few sessions, you'll find it. Go on a scavenger hunt.
Oh, that is wonderful. That's a great question,
Yeah,
Catherine. That is a
absolutely.
very great question. That is a good question. I'm glad I never said it in the beginning either.
There you go. I know you had said it
But
in our last
yes.
show, and it is
Mhm.
definitely a battlefield. And
Mhm.
this is a very fairly famous author who's been around a while and knows whereof she
Mhm.
speaks. I
Mhm.
am hoping to be able to get a bunch of really terrific people, authors, and other wonderful luminaries for a open session on books,
Mhm.
good books, great books, books you should
Yeah.
read, books that are
Mhm.
art related, and books that are
Yes.
spiritually guided. And it should be within the
Yes.
next few weeks. I
Yes.
am so
And
glad that you're here. And by the way, you can find our good friend Janette at Creations from the Heart Art. For further information, just go to her webpage. That's exactly what it is, Creations from the Heart Art. And you can find
mhm.
either one of us on all social media platforms. My webpage is CMS Creations Art. And for your further consideration, you want to go there for more information, including our vast and growing list of guests on our show at Omega Radio. We are
Yeah.
so happy for you to be here. And if you had another thing to offer our listeners today, what would you say to them?
I would tell them that no idea is small. We
Mm-hmm.
only stop ourselves, and that's what makes it small.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to just start with our thoughts and just have faith in the Lord to open that door for you so you can make your thought be real.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. There is an old
Mhm.
saying that you pray as if the work depended on God, and you work as if it depended on you. And it requires both for things to work. Don't start small.
Yeah.
Start with your idea. Start with a great idea, and you know they're there because It's that still small voice giving it to you. If
Yeah.
you need help, there is no harm in asking for it. There are a lot of really terrific organizations out there ready to help artists get connected with business people who know exactly what they're doing, by the way, because some of us don't. The creative mindset gets a
Mhm.
little involved in the creativity part of it and doesn't always focus on the business part so well.
Yeah,
So,
that's the truth. Mm.
hmm
We get our minds gets busy, and and then doubt starts falling in. But
how do
we
you
have to
keep
fight those
yourself from
feelings.
being distracted?
I, you know what? The first thing that I do every morning is I read my Bible,
Mm-hmm.
and then I have a list of goals that I have to complete that day, and I pray. I listen. I keep positive. I keep encouraging words, and I just
Mm-hmm.
keep going. Um, and I always put God first in everything I do. That's my real power right there. When you put God first in everything you do,
Mm-hmm.
you focus on what you need to do. He
And
tells you exactly what
absolutely,
you need to do.
those
Mhm.
lists and that print makes it easier for you to not to have that burden of remembering everything all the time. All you've got to do is go back to your text, go back to your list, go back to your
Yeah.
focus, and stop. When you get
Yeah.
frustrated, when you get upset, when you get off track, just take a minute,
Mhm.
breathe. You can't think if you don't
Mhm.
breathe. And then start
Mhm.
again, and that will keep you on the right road for sure. And we are still on the road. We do have
Mhm.
4 minutes left. So, what I
Mhm.
am going to do now is sort of sum up. We were talking about not stopping the journey in the middle.
Mhm.
Abram,
And
Abraham's father, gave it up to his son. In every era, there is a person that is given the task for something. And you got to find out what that task is because it's a task with a
absolutely.
purpose.
Yes, it is. And they reference here another verse, and they can just look it up for themselves. But this is the verse, Exodus 32, 30-32. If
Mm-hmm.
they was to read that, they will realize that Moses returned to the Lord and said, "Oh, these people have sinned a great sin and have made themselves gods of gold. Yet now, if you will forgive their sin and will not blot me, I pray you out your word, so you have been written." So, in other words, he always prayed for the people, for them to
Absolutely.
keep going, because what should have been an 11-day journey took 40 years because they just was distracted going all over the place, which rounds about what we say.
And it
If you're
happens.
distracted,
Absolutely.
exactly. And life happens. We're not saying that problems are not going to exist. Life happens, you
Oh,
know,
absolutely.
but we have to just stay focused and try. And the first thing that everybody does that they forget to do always is pray, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And we're taught to pray in the good and pray in the bad. You
Well,
pray for everything.
you can
Mhm.
focus on what is important in your listening also to God.
Mhm.
Too many people ask for things and rather than just sitting there and listening because the point
Mhm.
is what you are being asked to do, not
That's right.
necessarily what you want or your. It's not all about you guys. You cannot
Mm-mm.
sit and look at the guy next to you and say, "Oh, maybe he'll do it." Mm-mm.
Right.
That's
Exactly.
not how it works, gang. Because
Nope.
each one of us is set up to do that one thing, and it doesn't matter what it
Mhm.
is. If you're an accountant, that's your one thing.
Mhm.
You should do that
Mhm.
well, and you should do that with
Mhm.
integrity and good advice and good messaging and wonderful
Mhm.
clarity for people because believe me, people need clarity these days.
Yes, you
Mm-hmm.
preached it, Sister Catherine. That is exactly what that is, and clarity is all about just staying clear and just making sure that you do exactly what you need to do for that day. If you take one day at a time, You know,
One
that
task
in
at a
itself.
time sometimes.
Yeah, one task, one day. Some people say 1 hour at a time.
Oh,
You know,
my
it just depends on
goodness.
the person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what they're going through. And if you
Mhm.
realize that you're going slower than you want, that's okay, because what you're
Hey,
doing
that
is
is
hard.
okay.
And
Mhm.
that just
Mhm.
means that it's a little harder than you may have anticipated, and it may take longer.
Mhm.
Patience is
Mhm.
not only
Mhm.
a virtue, it's a skill, and it is
Yes,
obtained by practice. So we are
absolutely.
trying to practice patience today and be kind to ourselves, because sometimes
Mhm.
life gets ahead of us and we get a little behind. And if that happened to us today, we are asking for our listeners' patience and forgiveness and love. And we are waiting for you to contact us with some more great ideas for more great shows. I get all of my best ideas from you. We are here with Janette Jordan, and we are in the creative space every Wednesday at 10:30 to 11. And happy to be here. I am your host, Catherine Shapiro, and I will be here next week, same time, same bat time, same bat channel.
Uh-huh.
And if you're of a certain
Thank
age,
you.
you know exactly what I'm talking about, too.
Yes. Thank you so much, Sister Catherine, for having me here today.
Absolutely. And what for further information, what you need to do is go to Janette's webpage, which is, of course, Creations of the Heart Art. And we are also both on lots of social media platforms. And the ones that you can most readily find us at are LinkedIn and Alignable.
Yes.
Alignable.com is a networking site for all kinds of local businesses that you can get on and that you can learn a lot of things from. And I've been learning a lot about broadcasting lately from those wonderful LinkedIn learning pages and websites. So I will post them on my webpage at cmscreationsart.com, and I will be back with you again on Wednesday. Thanks for calling and giving us such great wisdom, Janette. It really is
Oh, you're
wonderful.
welcome. It's my pleasure. It was nice to be here.
Absolutely. You have a terrific week, and we will be back with you next time. Tune in and listen. Creative Space on Omega Radio every Wednesday at 10:30 with your host, Catherine Shapiro.